If you're overly vulnerable with someone you've just met, it forces the relationship to go in a place that it's not ready to go, and it makes the other person feel weird. In particular, if this person is emotionally healthy or has boundaries, you're going to immediately repulse them. Hey guys, welcome to Nicole Reacts, where I, Nicole, react to online marketing guru trainings that I find on the internet. My qualifications for Snark are that I've owned a marketing company for the last 14 years. In addition to that, I have a couple of side businesses that obviously need marketing. So I've not only been a sort of consumer who pays attention to things a little bit more intentionally since I've started this kind of business, but in running an agency and also being a small business needing marketing services, I feel like I have a pretty holistic view of marketing and what we can expect from it. So if you've seen my previous video about Eric Worre, if you haven't, I'll just link it in the description in case you want to watch it. But basically, this guy is a network marketing trainer. And he is one of those people that has figured out that he can make more money selling training than he can actually in the network marketing business. But that's a whole other story. But this is a 7-module class called Social Media Mastery. So in my last video, I just skipped right to module 3 because I knew 1 and 2 would be insufferable. 3 was pretty insufferable too, and also very basic. Now, I have a high level of expectation for trainings that are done for specific groups of people, because if you narrow the audience from everybody to a specific group, you can get into specific kinds of examples with that group. You can get into features that that group can take advantage of. You can basically make something that's really specific and interesting. And I'm very curious if later on in his training, Eric Worre does make the idea of social media marketing more specific to the network marketing industry. So let me give you some examples of trainings that I've run and why that those people elected to have me do a custom training for them versus them finding, I don't know, a really good YouTube video or something. Performance Food Group, which is like Cisco, they obviously supply food and other goods to restaurants and other kind of food companies. And they wanted me to do a training for Facebook specifically geared at restaurant owners. So because it was about maintaining a restaurant Facebook page, I was able to talk about things like, how do you upload your menu? Like what's the best way to do that? How can you connect with your online ordering system in an efficient way? How can you use your in-person customers to increase your Facebook reviews? So we're able to kind of get into specific questions and actually look at specific restaurant Facebook pages as examples. And because everyone in the room was running a very specific kind of business, they were also able to trade ideas with one another, which was great. I think the most custom training I ever did, though, was about Twitter, and it was for a healthcare company that had something like 12 or 14 hospitals and healthcare facilities. And they obviously, each one of those facilities has a Twitter account, and they were all doing really different things. So it was sort of a training, but also was a bit of a facilitation, talking about how to not only maintain the integrity of the individual Twitter account so that they could have their own kind of personality and creativity, but also so that they could be having a unified message and helping to cross promote one another. So that was probably the most specific training I've ever done. But point being is, oh, one more, just because it's a completely different kind of thing. I had 4 therapists pool their money and hire me to help them to do a training on how to run Facebook ads on their Facebook and Instagram pages. So it doesn't have to be like this big thing. It can just be a group of people that sometimes hire me. They're in the same kind of industry. And, obviously the things I'm going to tell them are sort of helpful to know as a group. So yeah, those are the kind of custom trainings I've done. I've done more than that, but that gives you a smattering, everything from like a more corporate thing to a more specific thing, to a group of friends and colleagues that just are like, hey, let's pool our resources and get Nicole to help us set things up. So I am going into these trainings. So this is a guy with way more money than I do. This is a guy with way more resources than me. I expect his social media training for network marketing companies to be specific, to be helpful, to be filled with examples, and to otherwise take advantage of the unique opportunities, right, that network marketing companies provide. I'm not sure if I think they provide unique opportunities, but ideally he is able to point those out and show people how to use the social media technologies that exist when this was recorded. So I've gone back and forth about which video we're going to watch today. Because as we've established, there's 7 modules. We watched module 3, which had like nothing in it. And 5, 6, and 7 had really generic titles, which maybe I'll put on the screen for fun. But it was really hard to tell what was really in those videos and which ones were going to have the most meat in them. So I was worried that module 7 was going to be a wrap-up video and so not have anything very specific in it. So I have chosen, and hopefully correctly so, module 5, which is 46 minutes long, about how to convert your prospects into partners. So if he's talking about conversion, maybe he's going to use some social media tools to do that. Maybe he's going to show us how he uses social media to nurture the relationship so that you can even approach someone to be a potential customer. But he uses the word partner. So I'm guessing we're obviously, since network marketing, most of your money is made in recruiting other people to do the business. I'm guessing that this is what this is going to be about. But anyway, I'm hoping I'm making the right choice here. But I really did want to pick a module that was further into this training to see if it even got more specific or we got anything tactical from it. So fingers crossed for module 5 here. To remind you, last time I sped up Eric Worre to 1.25 playback speed instead of the normal 1 playback speed because he is a slow talker. So we're going to try this out. I will pause if I have anything of length to say or something I want to riff on. Otherwise, if it's just a snarky sentence, I might just throw it on the screen in the editing process. Editing Nicole is a little bit snarkier than recording Nicole. So let's see what we have to learn. I also think this is the same channel that pirated his last video. So part of me is kind of enjoying this. I will link to the original video in case you want to watch it in the show notes like usual.
Well, welcome back to Module 5. In this module, we're going to talk about converting the people that are now prospects, your social media prospects, into customers or distributors.
I'm so curious how you filled up Module 4 because I feel like we spent Module 3 talking about putting out content to build your audience. So anyway.
So we've got these people that have an interest now. In other words, we've done the invitation. We've piqued their interest. Now, how do you convert? How do you get those people to go ahead and make the decision, become educated enough to make the decision to go ahead and become a customer or go ahead and become a distributor? Now, some people ask, should I focus on customers or should I focus on distributors? And the answer is both. I will tell you this out of full disclosure. I came up from an old school that was all about growing the network. It wasn't as much about gathering customers. Yes, we did it. Yes, I did it as kind of a necessary evil. Oh, I'll get 10 customers because I want to get 1,000 people to each get 10 customers. Okay. But my philosophy always was the bigger the network I can grow, that's where the leverage is. That's where the huge opportunity is.
I get more money when I recruit people. Stop acting like he has a bigger impact. He's just going to make more money. That's why he's doing it.
Where the bigger money is. So I'm going to focus there. And then I'll default back to customer. But I got to tell you, a couple things have happened recently. One is there's been some industry-wide studies done as far.
Can you imagine if we were listening to him at regular speed? Like, this is slightly tolerable.
As the reason people join the network marketing in whatever way, their entry point, and then the reason they stay. And the most fascinating thing came out of this study. Some people join as a customer. They just join for the product, but they stay for the opportunity. They become a product fan. They become a raving fan of the product itself. And their imagination starts to go, okay, they get connected with the people. Well, maybe I could share this with some other people. So they join for the product. They stay for the opportunity. But an equal amount join for the opportunity and for whatever reason aren't willing to face their fears to grow a network, but they stay for the product.
I think that last little circle could have been condensed a little. Also, I could not read it. It was way too fast.
So it's an equal amount of both of those entry points and reasons why they stay, an equal amount. So here's the lesson from the statistics that have come out.
Okay, so the graphic person in me is like looking at that last circle and think, really, you couldn't think of a shorter way to say that. But we're in a social media mastery training. I hope he finishes this overview and gets into some actual tactics.
Recently, major eye opener for me is go to people where they are. If they're resistant to this entrepreneurial aspect, they're not ready to become entrepreneurs, if they're scared, if they have too much fear, too much doubt, too much uncertainty, but they're passionate, they're interested in the product, go ahead and have an entry point there. Fantastic. Okay, but don't be afraid to talk about the opportunity. Some people use the product as...
So he said, meet people where they are. And then he said, it's okay if they just want the product. And then he said, but don't be afraid to talk to them about the opportunity. Okay, so what's the point in them saying, hey, listen, I'm not interested, if you're not even going to listen to them? God, these people.
As they focus only on product because they're afraid to talk about the opportunity. And I don't want you to be stuck there. Don't use this as an excuse to just talk about product because you're afraid to expand a network. That's where the leverage comes in our business. Remember we talked?
I don't think people are afraid. I think people are supposed to train them as to when to present the opportunity. They're not sure about when they're supposed to do it, but they know they're not supposed to do it right away. I don't think they're afraid. I think we're afraid of, like, I don't know, dying or having your life not mean anything or something happening to a loved one. Those are things we're afraid of. He's acting as if this is this super emotional, deep thing, when really it's that these people are expected to be salespeople with absolutely no training. And they're constantly told, well, and even in module 3, he was saying, don't sell to people right away. And so what they're thinking is, okay, I know I'm not supposed to do it right away, but when am I supposed to do it? And nobody has an actual answer for that I have ever seen.
At the beginning of this program, what we do is we sell products and services to consumers. That's what we do. We do it through several different ways. One, we personally sell it ourselves. Like, you can use your social media to expand your network of customers that are not involved in the distributorship network at all. Okay, that's one way that we do it. Number two, we grow a network of distributors who are doing the same thing. And three, we improve the productivity of that network. I mean, if there's two networks, one is selling a lot and the other one isn't, well, there's two networks that have completely different value. So it's not the network that has value at all. It's the amount of products and services that are moving to consumers through that network. Okay, so understanding this, it might help you change your thinking a little bit when you're looking at prospects. There's going to be some people that are just, they can't get their head around being a distributor right now, but they would be interested in the product. Don't make them feel like a lesser citizen. Make them feel like they're not an entrepreneur, they're a loser because they just want to be involved in the product. Let them be involved in the product and then stay connected through.
You just said there are certain people who have limiting beliefs and stay for the product. Like, this guy's talking out of both sides of his mouth. You clearly think people are inferior for not doing it, just by the way you presented the previous slide. So, I don't know, pick a lane and stick in it, Eric.
Social media, let them know what's going on in the business, in life, and success stories and everything else. And hopefully, as more rapport, more social proof happens for those people, they'll make the decision to say, well, maybe I can start sharing this with them, especially when you can show them how you've been able to use social media in addition to offline forms of marketing. You blended the two, because some people, when they first take a look at network marketing, they're concerned that they don't know enough people. Well, these efforts are going to help you just in the process of having a conversation with them. You can say, look at what we did together. Can you do the same thing that I did? And the people are going to go, well, maybe I could. Let me give this a shot. So regardless of where they start, they stay for different reasons typically, and it's about 50-50. So customers or distributors, now more, the second reason why customers are very, very important in today's landscape is, for many, many years, companies have followed the case law that's been created inside of network marketing that said that distributors that are also customers, and that's just fine. You can build an army of people who are distributors that are their own customer, and that internal consumption is fine. And recently, regulatory agencies have said, we prefer that you have customers that are outside of the network, a significant amount of customers outside of the network that are not just distributors. So companies are like, okay, and just be aware, those of you who are watching this, your companies will be making adjustments to those recent opinions by regulatory agencies to...
Is it an opinion that it's better to have customers who are outside your company than in? I love how you just said, like, their opinion. It's not an opinion that selling to actual customers versus an entirely internal structure is a little bit problematic, or at the very least will limit your growth if you're selling products as the way to make money.
Put some more emphasis on customers that are not connected to the distributor network. So this whole process using social media will help you to add more customers. For that reason, for the thickness of your organization, I want you to just imagine everybody in your distributor network as you grow around.
How is this module 5? You've been laying the groundwork for like multiple modules here of like that social media is important. Okay, why not show us how to master social media? The name of the course is Social Media Mastery. We're just laying all of this background. What a freaking waste of time.
Around the world, having 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 customers. Imagine the thickness of that, the amount of volume from that, the productivity of that, the residual income from that, right? The predictability of that. It's massive, okay? So the good news is we can identify people that might be great prospects for our business. We've already done that through Module 4. We've identified people who are prospects now of either the product or the opportunity. Now, what do we do to convert those people to either customers or distributors? Here's the good news. This is one of the areas that offline and online is virtually the same thing. I talk in GoPro. Many of you have heard it. I've trained for many, many years. Once you've made the invitation, which you've done, which we talked about in Module 4, making the invitation so there's some interest to having a conversation, you're going to present your product or opportunity to those people. You're going to follow up and you're going to close. All of this is in GoPro. I'm not going to go in super detail on presentation, follow up, and close. I will tell you that.
I love how he alluded to his own product. He's like, if you want this, you have to go to GoPro. So already he's spending part of this module teeing up the next thing he wants to sell you. I don't know. Why don't you do a good job with this one? And then maybe we'll buy your other product. But also I came into my office because I thought, okay, this way there won't be a siren going off potentially immediately across the street from me. And a siren just went off. I think I got it. I think I muted in time, but yeah, I thought I'd come to my office because it would be quieter. And I know nobody else is around today because it's Sunday when I'm recording this, but yeah, oh my God.
I'm going to give you some principles on each one, okay? Principles on each one of presenting, follow-up, and closing, and some of the nuances in the social media landscape and some of the differences. Here's the biggest nuance, the biggest key distinction. Get this off of social media. So once you start doing the presentation, don't do the presentation on Facebook. Don't do the presentation on the social media platform that you made the invitation on, that you made the connection on, that you built the rapport on. So get it face-to-face whenever possible. If you're in your local city and you make the invitation, say, hey, you happen to live in the local, why don't we have breakfast? Let's get together. And we can talk about this. And it'd be fun to meet you face-to-face anyway. Okay? Anytime possible, get it face-to-face. But if you can't get it face-to-face in person, try to get it face-to-face using the internet, whether it's a Skype conversation where you're looking at the other person's face and they're looking at yours. I prefer, worst case is if you're doing it online. That's, like chatting, okay? If you're chatting private messages, stuff like that, SMS, that's worst case, worst. Second worst would be phone calls, doing a phone call, but phone calls are kind of cheap. And then third would be some type of an online platform where you can see the other person, you can build some rapport. And best case, whenever possible, is do what you can to get face-to-face. Get together, have coffee, get together for lunch, get together after work someday, get together over the weekend, get together for breakfast. Find a way to get together and make a connection, because personal connection, this is part of the blend of offline and online. If you just click buttons and expect that you're going to build real rapport, you've got to get a connection with that other human being so they see that you're for real. And they build some confidence in you, that you can help them, that maybe together 1 + 1 adds up to 5. Maybe together you can do something special. You can collaborate, you can do something. So the real key distinction here from all of the people that we talk to is get face-to-face in person whenever possible. And if you can't, then try to get face-to-face using Skype or iChat or whatever. And if you can't do that, then a phone call. But don't do it on the social.
So I'm a little curious about why he's not mentioning Microsoft Teams or Zoom, why he's saying Skype or Google Chat or iChat. I'm going to throw up a graph. I'm going to see the relative popularity of different online meeting platforms over the last, let's just say 5 or so years, whatever I can find. So I have 2 clients who insist on using Microsoft Teams, but pretty much most of the other ones all use Zoom. So I'm not sure why he's not mentioning those 2 major platforms in this, because that's what businesses use.
Social media platform. In other words, when you're doing it on the social media platform, it's kind of not real. It doesn't have much weight. As soon as you get it off of that platform, it has a lot more weight. It's a completely different conversation. Okay, so that's the key distinction. I've experienced that in all of the people that we talk to in our interviews of these 77 people that have each recruited more than 100 people. They all agree you need to get it off of the platform. Stay on the platform. You can divide your results. You're going to get 5% of the results that you would get if you get it off of the platform. Okay. Now, let's talk about presenting. Presenting, if I could make this simple for you, every company has a thing that you do. You know, it's you're going to sample the product. You're going to show a video. You're going to go through a presentation. You're going to explain the opportunity. You're going to show the website, something that you do. You have that thing that you do. You have the standard that happens inside of your company. And I'm not going to give you, talk about it specifically because everybody has the thing that you do. So when you go out there to do the thing, whatever that thing is, you should know that inside of your company. And if you don't, talk to the people in your company. What's the thing that you do to share your product? What's the thing that you do? What is the system that you use in order to be able to share the opportunity? Okay. But the first part, the most important part, as soon as you have this connection with your person that you've met on social media, and you have an ability to have a conversation with them, and you get it off of the platform, the very first thing that you must do is tell your story. You've got to tell your story. If you don't tell your story, you don't have an opportunity to build rapport in the same way. If you don't tell your story, you don't build as much trust. You don't build as much belief. You're not going to have a receptive person. Telling your story is critical. Now, I'm going to teach you specifically how to tell your story. And in doing that, I did a big event recently, and I usually do an exercise at events when I do these training events, and I teach people specifically step by step how to tell a story. So
why don't you just do that here? Why is it harder in front of just you and a camera? You don't need a group of people to show the process.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to one of those events, and we're going to go through the exercise of learning how to tell your story properly. So please make sure that you're taking notes. Please make sure that you understand key distinctions here. If you happen to be with someone else watching this, or you have somebody in your family or whatever that could sit around with you and role play telling your story with you, I think you're going to find it very, very powerful. So check this out. And when you come back, I'm going to teach you how to implement this into converting your social media prospects into customers and into distributors. So check it out. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to stand up and find someone who speaks your language that you do not know. It's very important that you don't cheat with this. Don't go to your friend next to you and let's pretend we don't know each other. Don't do that. Okay? So find somebody you do not know, and I want you to tell your story to each other. Following these 4 steps that you wrote down, use it as a little cheat sheet. We'll put it up on the screen so you can see the 4 during this. I want you to go through the 4 steps, tell them your background, what you didn't like, the solution that you found, and how you feel about the future, and then reverse it. So the other person does it back to you, okay? Now you have 4 minutes to do this.
I don't know why we're leaving this in, except to show there was multiple people at the event. Also, like the zoom into that poor lady.
What did you learn? Give me some observations. Those of you who did this exercise, what did you learn? Anyone? Anyone who can tell me in English? Yes, what did you learn?
I learned from Mateo that he's very happy now that he has this possibility to be.
Now, give me more observations of the exercise. What was it like to share your story? What did you learn by sharing your story and having somebody share theirs? Not exactly their details, just the process. It's nice to see that we're all kind of the same, right? Did you notice that you have similarities with the other person? How many people notice that you have something similar with the other person? How many people were surprised that you actually could make a connection with another human being?
You work at the same company. You're going to have something in common, at least I'd hope.
That fast. Within a few minutes. Especially guys. Women do this naturally. They'll go into the bathroom and they'll come out best friends. Guys, we struggle with this.
I don't think that's really true. We're socialized to be more social, but I know plenty of very charismatic men who make friends everywhere too.
What else did you learn? What was this hard or easy? Easy. It's not hard. Will you get better with practice? Yes, you'll get better with practice. Yes. You can live your dream. You can live your dream. Is it, how many people felt it was interesting? It felt good for someone to listen to your story? Was it good? How many people felt honored that someone was willing to share their story with you? How many people felt as they were sharing the story that you wanted to hear more? Anyone? Interesting, right? Any other observations? Any other observations? How many people found yourself wanting to help the other person? Anybody?
Okay, I think this is a little disingenuous because if you're at a conference with a bunch of your colleagues and you're exchanging stories in an exercise, so there's no expectation of anyone buying anything or signing up or whatever, you're not trying to sell anything with this interaction. So it does feel like community building. It feels natural. I feel like if you're put in a situation where you get to connect with another human being, you have the time and space to do it, and neither one of you has a specific agenda of something to get from the other person, it's going to go well. It's when this interaction turns into a sales pitch that it feels like you were being used. This human being I thought that I was connecting with and that I was going to be friends with is just trying to sell me something, is using me in effect. And I think that's what we all have problems with. I moved to a new area and I tried to use Bumble BFF, which is basically a way to connect with friends on Bumble or potential friends. And I think there is a great need for an app like this. But what happens is it is mostly people in network marketing things. And I know that I have like messaged with a few people and found out very quickly that they're in a network marketing company and trying to grow. And they want to talk to me about business. I'm sorry, I thought I was making a friend here. And like, I'm the kind of person who makes friends relatively easily. I have a job where I'm, interacting with people a lot. I am one of those people who's sort of outgoing, even in situations where I don't know people. So I can't imagine how additionally disheartening it is for people who are more shy, who it takes time to open up, for them to open up, to think that they've made a friend and to find out that it was someone trying to recruit them. So I don't think this exercise is a fair comparison as what it will feel like to prospect people.
Feel like you wanted to help the other person when they were telling their story? Interesting. Now, will you please put up the 4 questions again, or the 4 parts again up on the screen? Production guys? Can you throw up what's up on the, there you go. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Which one of these is the most important? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Background, what you didn't like, the solution, or how you feel about the future. Now, how many people feel, and there is an answer, it's not all of the above. How many people feel like it's number 1? Show of hands. Almost no one. How many people feel like it's number 2? Show of hands. How many people feel like it's number 3, the solution? Show of hands. How many people it's number 4? How you feel about the future? Show of hands. Most people feel like it's number 4. Guess what it is? Number 2. Number 2 is by far the most important.
Okay, I'll be curious to see how he justifies this, because I feel like most network marketing things concentrate on the future and how it could be different and the opportunity. Even using the word, showing people the opportunity implies a future gain, right? If your why doesn't make you cry, it isn't powerful enough. So all of this stuff with network marketing is you're going to grind and it's going to be hard and you're going to, but you're going to be successful. So the promise of the future is essentially what they're selling. So he's saying number 2 is the most important. I want to know where he's getting that fact.
Let me explain why. Nobody cares how cool you are.
Yep.
Nobody cares about your future. Nobody cares about all your accomplishments, and nobody.
They care about their future, though.
cares about your dreams, all that stuff. Guess what they care about? Guess when they build a relationship with you? When you share your pain, when you share your vulnerability, when you share your heartache, when you share your challenges. That's when you become a human being. That's when they trust you.
So I've recorded this like 16 times, but let me try to do this succinct. There is a certain group of people in your life who will rally around you when you're struggling. Obviously, if they're terrible when you're struggling, if they laugh at you or throw it in your face, or if they like refuse to help you when they would be able to help you, like those people suck and they're not in your life. But there's a certain group of people that will rally around you when you're struggling. And when you come out of that struggle and something good happens to you, particularly something good that you didn't necessarily like deserve, they will be like almost angry about it or combative. And I've been in relationships like that where my win was minimized, fights were picked, whatever. So what I want to point out is if you build business relationships with people who identify with your struggle, as you start to not struggle, those relationships are going to suffer. I'm not saying that anyone has to care about your material success or that you should be flashy or whatever, but in addition to surrounding yourself with people who identify with bad things that happen to you, you also want to be around people who, when something good happens, say, "Oh my God, that's amazing. You know, I'm so happy for you. Congratulations. Let's go out and get some fancy coffee beverages to celebrate." So yeah, I think connecting with people over a struggle, while it is possible, like I've met some fantastic friends I made while I was getting divorced. I wouldn't have made them otherwise, and we're still friends to this day, even though I've sort of moved beyond that. But I just want to say that connecting with people just on the struggle is only a partial connection, because some of those people are not hoping you'll be successful.
We've been taught through our lives to never share our weakness. To share weakness is death. That's what we've been taught. But in our business, we're in a relationship business. In order to build rapport and build relationship, people need to understand that you're willing to be vulnerable with them. And here's what I will tell you. If you're willing to be vulnerable with another person and share your real pain, they're going to be willing to drop all of the pretense and share theirs with you. And now you have the basis of a real relationship, a real conversation. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you to do this exercise again. Okay? And I want you to find a new person that you do not know. It's very critical that you use a person that you do not know and you don't cheat with this. Don't cheat yourself with this process. Play like a pro. I want you to do the 4 things again, but this time I want you to put more emphasis on number 2. I want you to be raw and honest and authentic.
Don't do this. It's gross.
And real about the things that you've struggled with, that your challenges in your background. Be honest with it. Doesn't need to be longer. It just needs to be more authentic. Okay, you prepared to do that? All right, you have 4 minutes. Ready?
Don't actually do this. If you're overly vulnerable with someone you've just met, it forces the relationship to go in a place that it's not ready to go, and it makes the other person feel weird. In particular, if this person is emotionally healthy or has boundaries, you're going to immediately repulse them right away. And it's really manipulative to do something like this. I'm going to fast forward this part.
You learn. Questions about it is helpful. Yeah. Sometimes when it's all about you, you need to make it a little bit about them. People love to tell their story if you give them an opportunity. What else did you learn? Anyone? Yes? You feel more connection. How many people felt more connection this time than the first time? Because you shared your pain. You shared a little bit more of your real self. So you can build a relationship with a person fast.
Yeah, you can build a relationship fast. No, do not take shortcuts in building relationships. Taking shortcuts in this process does not lead to good things.
Through that kind of conversation versus, oh, I'm so cool, I'm so amazing.
He's acting like it's this binary thing. Either you're vulnerable and share your pain, or you're like too cool. There is something in between that is how most people relate to each other.
What else did you learn? Any other observations? Anyone? Yes. It's easier the second time. You know, the average doctor will spend 18,000 hours of practice in order to get good at what they're doing. You just practice twice. Okay? If you learn to tell...
Where is he getting the stat 18,000 hours? 18,000 hours. I know Malcolm Gladwell said 10,000 hours for mastery in his book, The Tipping Point, but like, where is he getting this 18? Oh, these people.
Your story over and over and over, you're going to do better. You'll refine it. You felt more confident the second time. Yes. Build your confidence and build your posture. All of a sudden, you to tell your story. Yes, exactly. So if
you'll also get more confident by telling the same story over and over again.
You're willing to do this over and over, you feel more comfortable, feel more rapport.
You don't have to add the vulnerability part into it. You can just, the more times you present material, the more comfortable you're going to be.
Did it feel like a sales pitch? Did it feel salesy?
No, because you're not selling anything. You're at a conference with other network marketing people. You're not trying to sell them anything. You're all in the same company.
No. When somebody was telling their story to you, did you feel uncomfortable? No, not really.
Well, I've definitely been in versions of these kind of conversations where I've been uncomfortable and people overly disclose things to me.
It was simple. It was real. Even though you're talking about your solution, how you feel about the future, that's fine. When you talked about your background and what you didn't like about it, that was the thing that really opened the door for you to be able to listen to them. Now, throw up the 4 parts again. I'm going to ask you to do this one more time. This time, don't leave your seat. I just want you to do it with the person sitting next to you. Okay? But this time, all you get to do, hold on, all you get to do is 3 and 4. You don't get to talk about your background and you don't get to talk about what you didn't like. All you get to talk about is your solution and how you feel about the future, okay? That's all you get to do. No matter how much anybody asks, you have to only do 3 and 4. Okay? You ready? Stay in your seats and go ahead and do it. Set, go. What I just had you do is what most of you have been doing your whole career. And that's how you've been making people feel, by talking about the solution that you found and how you feel about the future. Now understand, 3 and 4 were the same 3 and 4. And if you just do 3 and 4, you have people skeptical, people resistant, people pushing away, people not wanting to listen, people saying, not for me, not asking questions like, no, I'm out. But if you do your background and how, and what you didn't like about your background, now they're moving forward. Yes, tell me more. Yes, I'm interested. Yes, I want to help. You feel the difference? It's all the difference in the world. If you'll do all 4, your results are going to triple immediately. Immediately. People are going to go from pushing away from you to walking towards you.
Or is it just that if you include 1 and 2, that you're disclosing something about yourself, and the natural human reaction, if I disclose something I'm insecure about or a problem, is that the other person like wants to help. I feel like we're taking advantage of people being sort of polite and helpful here.
Wanting to be connected with you, if you'll do this. How many people learned something about your story, your own story, that you didn't know prior to this or hadn't been communicating? Anyone? Yes, just learning to tell your story. Some of you haven't told it to anyone. Your family doesn't know your story, really. You never even really thought about your story, really. So it's so important. This is critical. The strongest people in network marketing are the people who tell the story the best. Take a look at your career level 8 people, and they're just incredible storytellers. That's what they are. They learn to tell stories. They tell their own story. They tell other people's stories. That's what they do all day, every day, all day, every day. Story. That's what tells you, gives the facts better than anything else can do. Okay? All right, I'm going to ask you to do it. Remember, a doctor does 18,000 hours of practice. If you're exhausted after 3 times, We might have to question you a little bit. I want you to find one more stranger that you do not know, and I want you to pour your heart out. I want you to give them all 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Don't cheat with a friend and do it the 4th time. Do it for real, okay? One last time before before I finish this session. Stand up, find a partner, ready, go. In the business of communicating and building rapport and relationship with other people, we need to learn to do this. We need to learn to open ourselves up. Whether you're introverted or extroverted, this is part of what we do. Every day we get out there and we talk to people. When we say, well, what do I say to them? I don't know what to say. Just tell them your story. When you go buy a new pair of shoes, they say, well, hold on a second. Let me just tell you my story while you're finding my size. When you're looking at a new car, let me tell you my story. When you're eating at a restaurant, let me tell you my story. When you meet somebody and you're out having a drink, let me tell you my story. When you tell your story, what's that going to make them want to do? Tell you their story back. And now you have a beginning of a conversation. You have something to...
No, if this poor person is at their job and they're being paid to be nice to you, they're going to listen to you politely, but they're not going to want to tell you their story. They're going to want you to leave them a nice tip and to go home.
Be able as a foundation to see if there's a fit between what you have to offer and what they might need. Our stories.
So I hope that was valuable for you. And here's the key distinction that you saw at the end.
It was not valuable. Thanks for asking, though.
What happens when you take away your story and you're just talking about the facts and figures of the company? Nobody cares. Nobody wants to listen to how excited you are about your future. Nobody wants to know more about your, the solution that you found. Nobody cares. But if you tell people your background and you share your pain with them, you share your frustrations, your doubts, your worries, your fears, and that you found a solution. Now they want to know more. Now they're interested. Now they're in. Now you're a real human being with value. They want to know more. They're curious. They're leaning forward if you'll tell your story this way. So it's really important that you implement and you work on your story, because as soon as you get somebody who's curious, I need you to get on the phone with them or get face-to-face on Skype with them or get together with them face-to-face. And first things first, can I just tell you my story?
So what Eric Worre has done here is giving a storytelling framework. But I do agree with him that telling your story well is going to help you with sales generally. And it'll help you with marketing too, because it'll help you create content. So if you don't agree with this framework, like me, there are plenty of other storytelling frameworks that you can use. One of them that I know about is StoryBrand's storytelling framework. And basically it is a character, which is, usually you center around your customer versus you, right? I think centering things around the people you're talking to is usually generally helpful. So your customer is the main character, and they have a problem. They meet a guide, which is you, who gives them a plan and calls them to action that ends in success and helps them avoid failure, right? And leads to transformation, ideally. I'll link to this framework if you want to explore it a little more, but that's a general idea. And if that one doesn't speak to you, just look up storytelling framework and you might find a style that's more in line with how you already tell stories. And you can just use that to improve your own storytelling abilities. The other thing that he alludes to is that telling stories over and over again will make you more comfortable telling them. And I completely agree with this. It's why, after my dad died, I was going to this grief support group of people who had lost parents. And part of that was telling our story, not every week, but most weeks. And by just doing that, it got me more and more comfortable, not with the fact that he was gone, but just with being able to get through the story without bursting out crying, being able to sort of see how I could go forward in my life, that kind of thing. So, storytelling, yes, it's beneficial for sales, but also if you're going through a hard thing, being able to tell your story, whether it's in a supportive group of people, whether it's to your journal, whether it's in an online platform, if you want to do that, can also really help in your sort of grief and acceptance process. So I do think getting good at storytelling is a good skill to have. I don't necessarily know if this framework speaks to me.
But your story might include your brand that you're building. Then that's your passion, and you got this job and whatever's going on. But here was your frustration, and then whatever that is for you, every one of you has a story, and that you found a solution. And here's how you feel about the future. So the two parts of doing a presentation,
with your social media prospects is one, the very first thing, tell your story, and then do the thing. Tell your story and sample the product. Tell your story and play the video. Tell your story and show them the website. Tell the story and go through the presentation. Tell the story and introduce them to your sponsor or somebody.
Oh my God, please do not meet with me and make me watch a video while you watch me watch the video. That sounds super uncomfortable. I can watch it ahead of time and bring you my questions. I don't mind sampling a product, I guess. But if you're sitting with me in a coffee shop and you started presenting to me or make me watch a video, it's freaking uncomfortable. I thought we were having a conversation. I thought we were just having breakfast.
Somebody else in your organization, you do that. Tell the story. Invite them to your home for a home party. Tell the story and connect with them and let them see the value of what you have as a product and what you have as an opportunity.
If you're inviting someone to your house for a business thing, it's kind of weird. Just going to say it.
Tell the story and do the thing. And again, if you need to brush up on this, grab GoPro. Most of you have already read it. Grab GoPro and go through the presentation side. You're going to see, we've already gone through the invitation. You've used social media in order to build this relationship and get the invitation done. And now you're into presentation modes, which is tell the story and do the thing. All right. So that's some key concepts on presentation. Second key concept is follow-up. 2 sides to follow-up. First, what we know in network marketing is it takes an average of 4 to 6 exposures for a person to make a positive decision about joining a business. Now, it might not take that many for them to become interested in your product, but to join a business, it's about 4 to 6 exposures. And on social,
that's it. You don't have to hound them more than that. Based on my DMs, there are definitely people that are following up more than 6 times. But I guess maybe some of us are getting less polite and just telling people no right away, and then they're not following up.
Social media, it might be more than that. It might be more than that, because some of the exposures they might be seeing on your page, and you didn't even know that they were in process. They might see a post and see a post and see a post and see something you did, see your lifestyle, see what's going on, and eventually say, you know what, I want to reach out to this person, and then they reach out to you. So you didn't even know that you already put all these exposures in. To what do those exposures do? Build rapport, build trust, build relationship, make you likable. Those exposures may happen during your social media presence, but also once you start having the conversation with them and you share your product or service, you share your opportunity. Don't always expect that immediately a person is going to say, well, I'm ready to join. Not everybody's ready to become an entrepreneur in one presentation. They might want to try the product first. They might want to see if it has a good impact in their life. They might want to talk to somebody else. They might want to do some online homework. They want to hear some other success stories. They might want to meet the people that are involved, maybe go to one of your events. There's a lot of different things that are going to happen in exposure. So just understand, for every person that says yes with the first exposure, there's going to be somebody that takes 12, 14 exposures before they get started. But here's the great thing. You're going to have so many prospects through this process that you're going to have people going through the exposures all the time. Your funnel's going to be filled with people that are either in 1, 2, 3, 15, 20, 50, 100 exposures. It doesn't matter. They're going to be in that process and coming through the pipeline on a regular basis. So it gives you, because you're going to have so many people to talk to, it gives you some patience, some posture. You can be patient, have urgency, for their sake. The earlier they get involved, the better their life is going to be. If they take longer, it's some wasted time, but that's okay. Everybody's journey is their journey. Everybody's process and is their process. And through all of this, you're going to be helping them answer their questions, whether it's about the product or it's about the opportunity. Help them get past the objections in their mind, whether it's about they don't have the time, they don't have the money, their background, experience, et cetera, et cetera. I talk about all that in GoPro. You can go get that information. We're talking specifically about social media here, right? The objections don't change. There's only 2 kinds of objections in the.
I already bought Social Media Mastery. Why are you alluding to another program I have to pay for? Just give me value here, Eric.
World. One is a person has a limiting belief about network marketing, and the other objection category is a person that has a limiting belief about themselves. And guess what social media helps with? The limiting belief that you don't know anybody, right? You could say, I didn't think I knew anybody either, but guess what? We met using social media, and I can show you how to do what I'm doing, and I have more people than I know how to talk to. So I can help you get past that, right? So learning how to help people with questions, objections, this is a work in progress. You're going to be continuing to get better every single day. You're going to learn how to tell the story and do the thing.
Here's the thing, though. I might know a lot of people on social media, but how many of those people are already distributors themselves or who are connected with other distributors that aren't me? So knowing people is one thing, but knowing the right people would be more helpful. And it's hard to tell what those numbers are without going through your whole, I guess, social media list and individually reaching out. But I guess that's what he wants you to do anyway.
Better every day. You're going to learn how to follow up and do what you said you were going to do every day. You're going to be patient with those exposures, have urgency, but be patient also. You're going to learn how to answer questions, overcome objections. But this is the same online and offline, because again, we're taking this off the platform and we're using the same principles with this prospect. We're turning it from a little virtual, who knows if it's even a real person, into a real relationship. So that's the difference. The only difference is we can reach more people. The only difference is maybe instead of 4 to 6 exposures, maybe it's more exposures, but that's okay. You're going to have fun as you go. You're going to be attracting good, solid people as you go. You're going to be moving through this process. So it may take a little bit more time, and the number of exposures really depends on the rapport that you have with the person. If you got a strong rapport, you've built a really good connection, they respect you, they either like you, admire you, something, that's the reason why they're a friend or a fan or a follower. Once they're in that category, it's really easy to have the conversation. Like while we're filming this, I did a quick little Facebook Live on my personal page, just for fun. I did a Facebook Live. It lasted about 5 minutes. And during that Facebook Live, I got all these comments, hundreds of comments, a whole bunch of shares, tons of likes. And what did that create? Because of the over time building rapport with this audience, many of them were not necessarily friends, they're followers. It would be so easy for me to click on somebody who shared that post and just make it, hey, thanks for the share. And, tell me what's going on in your life.
It would be so easy for him to do that, but is he going to? Also, he has a really big audience. Like, he can't compare. I only went live for 5 minutes and I got hundreds of comments. Yeah, when you have millions of people on your Facebook page, that's a possibility. But most of us are not in that bracket. So it's just this weird comparison to make.
And start a conversation with that person, right? So easy to be able to strengthen the rapport over time because of.
If something is actually easy, you don't have to keep telling people how easy it is. Just saying.
The work that you've done to build your brand and expand your brand and bring value to people's lives. So it's so much fun in comparison to other ways that you could expand your reach. This is really a fun way to expand your reach. So think about the principles here. Works the same offline and online. That if we're going to be converting these people and presenting and telling the story and following up and closing, what we're going to be doing is we're just getting it off the platform, whether it's customer or distributor. We're going to present, tell the story, and do the thing. We're going to follow up, understanding it's going to take multiple exposures. We're going to answer questions, overcome objections. We're going to be patient with them. We're going to be kind with them. We're going to ask lots of questions of them to help see if this is a fit for them. And product's easy. I mean, how easy is it for product? All you got to do with a potential product customer is just say, give it a try. Give it a try. See if it works. Let me know. Try it out for 30 days.
Eric Worre, if it is so easy to sell products, I challenge you to join a network marketing company and sell the products. If you think it's easy, you should be able to show people that it's easy. I would love to see it.
Try it out for 60 or 90 days. Try it out and see if your life's better. If your life's not better, then fantastic. If your life is better, I'll show you how to get that product long-term. Why not? Give it a run. Guess what most of marketing is? Getting somebody to try something. When you saw that crazy ad on the Super Bowl with Puppy Monkey Baby for Mountain Dew, that was a Mountain Dew ad to just get people to try that form of Mountain Dew. That's all it was. Get somebody to try something. And we have an opportunity through the rapport.
I don't think most marketing is to get people to try something. I think marketing is educating people on what possibilities are and letting them decide if they're ready to try something.
To identify a need and say, hey, give it a try, right? And then once you've gone through the follow-up, you're going to give those people an opportunity to become a customer or to be a distributor and work with you. And the bigger you build your brand, the quicker they're going to say, yes, I want to work with you. The brighter your brand, the more they're going to say, yes, I can piggyback off of your success. I admire you anyway. Yes. Let me learn from you. Yes. Let me be mentored by you. Yes. I find you interesting. I find you somebody with common values. Yes. I would feel comfortable working with you. So the amount of rapport you're able to build on social media allows you to be able to close at a much higher rate. People are ready to pull the trigger and say, yes, I want to do something with you. So closing is not the twisting arms and convincing somebody to do something that they don't want to do. It's asking some questions, that lead people in the direction of making a conclusion that they want to make. Our objective that we talked about in last module is education and understanding. We're here to educate them to the point that they understand it. And once they understand it, it's either for them or not. And here's the good news. Instead of scarcity, you're having your 5 people on your list that you're worried, are they going to join or not? What happens if all of a sudden you have 500 people that are in different stages of looking at your product or opportunity, or 1,000 people that are curious about you and are taking a look at what you have to offer, and you just have a conversation going with all of these different people? Now you're not needy. Now you got your shoulders back. Now you got your chin up. Now you're adding people on a daily or weekly or at least monthly basis. Now you're growing, expanding, and you know what happens. You might be discouraged, and all of a sudden one new person joins your organization and everything's revitalized again. One new excited person, and now you're back into the groove and you're making something happen. Well, that's what's going to happen when you employ these principles.
I want to fix the second circle from the left so bad. I want to cut down on the text so that it looks more balanced.
Into your business. So converting people, your social media prospects, into customers or distributors, all it is taking the same process that we do offline, taking these prospects that you met online, taking it offline, and then going through the same principles of presenting. Tell the story, do the thing, follow up.
Also, real quick, and he did this with the face-to-face, like it said face-to-face in the same location and font where it says the process now. I want to just move that up so that the white space is even, because the face-to-face one, it was kind of touching on the bottom, and this one is close to touching on the bottom. I want to fix them.
Go through whatever number of exposures it needs.
Also, presenting, careening off, just like, I don't know, instead of principles of presenting. So you could just put presenting 101, and it would shorten that text, and it would fit in that kind of bluish, grayish area.
Answer their questions, overcome their objections, help them make a decision that they want to make. Understand it might take more time, but you're going to have many more people going through the process. And closing. And closing is just going to be asking people questions. You ready? You ready? Why don't you just be a customer? The distributor concept is very, very easy. Let's work together. Give it a shot. If you have an entrepreneurial bone in your body, this is easier than these other forms of entrepreneurship. Let's do it together, you and me. Let's make it happen, you and me. Let's go to work together. Let's collaborate.
I want to make a book recommendation here. If you want to start a business, but you don't want to go down the MLM route, the book $100 Startup is by Chris Gilbo is excellent. And it talks about people who have started literally hundreds of businesses with $100 or less, which is less costly than the average starter pack. I'll link to the website below where you can buy it, but you can buy it also at pretty much any bookstore that I can think of. But it's one of the books I have on my shelf. It's great. And if you're more of an audio format, he also has a podcast where he profiled a different business. I think it was every day for a year. I'm forgetting the name of it while I'm recording this, but I will also link to that below if you're more of an audio type learner.
Let's have fun. Let's grow a business. We're each growing an independent business, but together we can do something powerful. So it's the same principles. If you take it offline, that key distinction, get it face-to-face whenever possible. And if you can't do it face-to-face, then use technology, but try and make that connection off of the platform. So that's module 5. Converting those people is...
By the way, you can also collaborate with fellow business owners or even nonprofits while owning your own independent business. I will link to the broadcast where I talked about collaboration below if you want to see some examples of this in action. You do not need to join a network marketing company to collaborate with other businesses and grow your businesses together.
A pretty simple process. There's some key distinctions, but mostly it's learning how to tell your story and do the thing. Be patient in the process and have enough people in the pipeline that you're always involving new people and you're always expanding your business. The people that we interviewed, the 77 people that have recruited more than 100 people into their network marketing business using social media, they just had so many in the pipeline that they're just constantly doing it. Most of them today have more people that want to sign up than they even have time to go talk to. Can you imagine having more people reaching out to you that said, hey, listen, do you have time to help me get started? Then you have time. Imagine that problem.
I would love to hear how those 77 people grew the business more specifically with social media than what he's told us. There's got to be certain status updates that they post. There's got to be certain kinds of events that they hold on a regular basis. There has to be a way that they're generating leads, because there is no way that they're having breakfast with a different person every single day to be able to grow at the rate at which they were growing. So I don't get why we can't get more specifics here about how they did that, because the principles you're sharing with us sound manageable when there's only a few people, but would quickly become unmanageable if there was more than a few people. Not scalable.
Wouldn't that be great? So that's module 5. In module 6, I'm going to talk to you about how do you use social media in order to be able to support and train your organization. I'm going to give you the best practices from the top leaders around the world that are using social media to do just that. So I'll see you on the other side.
Okay, so I wish you would have included descriptions of these videos. That might have been more helpful. But I thought I would move over to one side and talk about what we learned from Eric Worre today. It's a pretty short list, so we learned that the initial connection can be made over social media, but we should try to meet in person whenever possible, or at the very least meet in a one-to-one online video sharing situation like Skype or Google Hangouts. We learned that we need to get better at telling our story, which includes describing our background, our problems, the solution to our problems, and our future, with the problems being the most important thing to connect on. We will have to follow up multiple times. He suggested 4 to 6 times to sell people the opportunity of joining the business. I think it's more than that, or I think that people just say no much sooner. So the people who get to 4 to 6 times are just generally more interested in a much smaller group of people than you're initially prospecting. People have a limiting belief of not knowing anyone, but social media proves that that's not true. And we have to have urgency when we pitch the opportunity, but also be patient with where people are at and what they are comfortable with, but not be afraid to bring up the opportunity. I personally don't understand why anyone listens to Eric Worre. His advice is super general, and he could easily be showing examples, whether it's from the 77 people he interviewed or whether it's just from network marketing pages. And he could, if you want to, you could blur out their names or whatever, but he's choosing not to and just giving us general marketing platitudes. If I or one of my clients would have hired Eric Worre to do a custom training for them, I think they'd be pretty disappointed, because this is supposed to be a custom training for network marketing people. And he alluded at least 3 times to his GoPro product, which is a separate product from Social Media Mastery. If you're going to sell someone a course, you have to make it independently valuable from anything else they might purchase from you. And if you don't, that makes you kind of a douchebag. Thanks so much for watching. If you've made it to here, I'd really appreciate it if you've subscribed to the channel. I would love to monetize, but I have to get to 1,000 subscribers to do that, and I'm a fair distance from that. So every subscriber helps, and I appreciate it. And if you think someone would get a kick out of this, I hope you share this video with them. And there's a whole Nicole Reacts playlist if you want to watch more videos of me snarking on marketing gurus. Appreciate you watching. If you have ideas for me, leave a comment below, or if you're more shy, you can message me on the contact form on my website. Take care and see you next time.